Good night. It wasn't a good weekend for me. I'll tell you why in a bit, even though there is nothing particularly new. But first of all, let's take a look together at another slide. I've washed the slide. Now I have them cleaned, and I prepare just two of them from the pot. So in the last actually good couple of hours, I've created I've given them the symbol of creating new Neros. This was much slower than it was before, and probably to much lesser success. And I will speak in a bit why I think it's like that. But overall, the reason is simply, I'm using almost the same material. I'm just replenishing a little bit of stuff, but mostly it's the same pot for a couple of days. So, and there is well, we'll speak about it in a minute. But as they say, עייפות החומר. The material is getting for whatever reasons that you can speculate about the reasons, but simply it's just that it's no longer the same mixture, and it's probably not even the same. I've also replaced some of the rods actually, and it's also something that I wanted to speak about. But I should just throw away the mixture and prepare another one. It doesn't make much sense, from any perspective, that the same mixture will produce more and more, stuff forever. And again, we deal with a very sophisticated technology, and we cannot really understand it, all of it. Even if I were the most advanced scientist on earth, and I'm not. I have a BSc in computer sciences, but not more than that. But of course, that this technology, the theoretical foundations are way beyond anything that is known to Earth people today. But it's not magic. As I've said, with regards to the issue of how exactly the microscope is the light is on without the connection to the socket. Eventually it's not magic. It's something to do with manipulation of matter and energy in ways that are either just like that. We do it, or in other ways, but it's not magic. And the same goes with the pot. You cannot expect to produce more and more stuff forever from the same from the same mixture. The material is getting weaker. It could be different explanation. But let's just take a look at the slide. This magnification of 64. Again, I should remind you, the camera is automatically is doing brightness correction, which is, I think, from my experience, which is of the type of flattening in the histogram, which means, adjusting the intensity, of the pixels and also the contrast. So the histogram will be as flat as possible, which means that as much as possible of the range of the intensity of pixels, of the value of the pixels will be used. In practice, what it means that that the background is less dark than it is when you actually watch it using the glass, just the glass. There is, when you watch it under the microscope with the glass, there is more contrast between the background and the bright spots. the fact that that the different like shapes is not uniform across the whole slide is due to the fact that when I place the drop and after I'm placing like a couple of like layers of sellotape, and like the order and like the way that I put the sellotape greatly determines like where the material, what kind of material and what material will be placed along the slide. Usually, I think that it's more common just to use like proper glass slide, which is square and much smaller than the entire glass slide. But I do not right now. I do not use the covers. I just use sellotape. I know that it sounds like I speak about it a lot, which is maybe it sounds like a mundane issue for at least for the non-technical and non-laboratory oriented audience, but like presumably who cares if it's these kind of covers or this kind of sellotape. It might sound very technical, but you need to understand that in the world of microscopy, these technical issues greatly affect what you can actually like see eventually, because it's either way you see in the interpretation of reality through several lenses and materials that are used as buffers. I don't want to get too philosophical about it, and actually it's not like I don't have any special like I'm not like expert or even close to it in any like in photography and microscopy, but what I understand very well from experience is that you can view the same like microbe, for example, can look totally different using different microscopy techniques and different buffer material or mediums. So this this goes the same with with what we look after, which is not like mostly not biological, but very close in nature. From at least in this context of microscopy to microbes, to like pretty mostly both big and small microscope with a huge variety of sizes that is actually uncommon in the life in the kingdom of life actually. But it's true that what we actually see is very is very determined or like determined very much, but by the technique and the material. That's why I speak about like the issue of sellotape and glass covers, because it really it has a huge effect on what you can actually see. Right, so that's the end. Okay. Now let's take a look at the other slide. The other slide is much less. I've taken it from like a place where mostly from the water, from the mixture. So there is just a tiny bit of foam, and mostly it's the water material from the lower levels. We already know from several experiments that most of the stuff the NEROs are mostly you find them like in the foam. So it makes sense that we will see much less NEROs here. So it's already apparent to me that first, it's expected there are much less NEROs here, considerably less, and also what you can see here to a larger extent than what we've seen before is the creation of NEROs, like not NEROs being created or was created, but like I would say artwork or landscaping that were created by the NEROs that were obviously not intended to be like eventually NEROs, but something else. What you can see here actually is something that I haven't spoken about, but just touch this. Maybe it's a good opportunity, like to mention the issue of writing system. So some people asked like about maybe they have the writing system, and sometimes it looks like they actually like write stuff, and this is like such a place. Like but maybe I'll speak about it later. I'll just say that. First of all, it's incredibly. I am not in a position to try to evaluate it right now myself. It's just too complicated. I don't. It's not that it's not within my like cognitive abilities. I think that it's something that I can undertake such an effort, like to decipher the writing like system, but I'm already doing it like for a couple of years, like, but it's not in writing like in a way that maybe people like are used to when we speak about writing today. If this what you see now is actually writing system, then yes, it's something that that is akin to what people think about when they speak about writing today, like an order of like ordered like in a series of shapes that presumably represent either sounds or a series of sounds or ideas that are either independently describe an idea or a physical object, or they together, with a specific syntax or order, they can represent such object or idea. But I do it anyway with the nanobots. Like the whole thing. All the visual work. That I've spoken about. I know that it sounds very vague, but it's also a kind of a writing system. It's a communication system. And so, and it's currently not within my like abilities to actually, like try to decipher like things like we see now, even though they are very common. I'm sure that it gets some kind of meaning, but I'm not sure that. But I try now. Like I focus like my efforts and my energy, which is diminishing in the same realms that the more like visual realms that I like that I investigated until now in the last couple of years. Again, way before I actually understood the issue of I knew about the nanobots, but it was more like I more like thought about it as a communication between me and the starships or the people in the commanders of the starships. And only much later I understood that it's also got to do with the Neros. I should also say, but it's kind of difficult to explain it, and I'm not sure it's the right time that, like when I do microscopic work, like when I like investigate slides and like perform the experiments, and as much as I do it, like the more I do it, the more I feel, and this is something that it'd be difficult for me to understand, to explain, like from like using scientific terms, or I would say empirical terms. That I feel that my communication with the Neros is getting better, and I'm certain that they want to communicate with me. Of course they do, but that they put more and more effort actually in like trying to convey like more, I would say, like complex ideas, and like to help me like try to understand them. But this is something that is difficult to explain, and not that I cannot. I'm sure that I will be able to articulate this kind of thought better if I would think about it more. But right now, I don't have like the correct like I would say. I found that I lack like the dictionary to explain what's going on. But certainly, for certain there is kind of like symbiosis between them and me. Of course, they are part of me. I cannot live without them. They are part of me, and but as I said, like I've spoken about it like maybe a week ago that it's not. They are a civilization of their own, and I am a representative of another civilization that is not of the Neros. I'm not like a representative. I'm not a messenger from the Nero civilization to the Earth people. Like I'm a representative of another civilization which I call the Cherubs, which can take several forms. They can certainly take the form of humans, but they can take other forms as well. But they are not the Neros. It's more complicated than it's not like a puppet master or like a puppet. It's not like, I mean, that I'm the master of the puppets, or they are the puppets, or they are the masters and I'm the puppet. It's more like kind of a symbiosis, and we all have subjectivity or intentionality. I mean, it's something from German philosophy, I think Heidegger or something like that, or Husserl. I mean, we all are like agents of intention. And I know that it's complicated because, I mean, it makes, I mean, the whole, like, I mean, like contact scenario here, like much more complicated than mostly what like is described in science fiction, because there is me, and there are like the Titans or the Venusians, there are the Homo sapienses, and there are, I mean, the cherubs and the Neos, and yeah, it's complicated. I mean, universe is complicated. I mean, why should it not be complicated? I mean, if it was simple, if it was just, I mean, you know, the planet of the heads, as they say in the Star Trek lore, like planet of the heads is, or the planet of the, like, of the people that, I mean, they eat their egg like, from this side or from the other side, I mean, borrowing from Gulliver's Travel, I mean, it will, so then it will be like, I mean, like, like unreal and like too literary, I mean. So yeah, it makes sense that this is complicated. I mean, and I should say again and again, the fact that, I mean, the nature of this context is complicated doesn't mean that, I mean, that you are allowed to act like Nazis. I mean, you are not. And you are punished, and you will be punished because you treat strangers like worst kind of Nazis. And you don't need to understand all the facts, and probably you will never understand all the facts like thoroughly in order to know that, I mean, you should not treat strangers like, I mean, it's imbued in so many like cultures in the earth that, I mean, the Cyclops from Homer's Cyclops, it's not only from Homer, but I mean from the Greek myths, I mean, that, I mean, the island of the Cyclops is like the island with the worst monsters probably of all mythology, or, I mean, because they treated, I mean, like the people that, I mean, their ship washed to their shores, and they've eaten them, and this is exactly what you do in the earth, and this is horrible, and it deserves punishment by the gods, and it will be punished by the gods. You don't need to understand like all the every bit of information about like what the biology of the strangers, or the origins of strangers, or, I mean, every scientific fact. This is redundant. You are not allowed to murder and to eat the strangers. You are not allowed to take their children for you. You are not allowed to rape them. So we see a bunch of Neros here, much less than in the other slide, which is to be expected because, as I said, it's not from the brown form but from the water. And again, what we see is a lot of creations like I would call landscaping, like all sorts of things that perhaps writing systems, perhaps all sort of, okay, this is a very common shape. At the beginning of, I mean, if you see here, it's not an arrow, it's I mean, this is, I mean, an example of one of the most common drawings or paintings. And again, my initial estimation was that it's a depiction of a virus in a huge scale, something like a coronavirus in a huge scale. But other like people suggested that this is perhaps it's a description of an atomic or subatomic phenomena, maybe of the atom itself, but maybe of things that are happening in like very, very small scale, like, I mean, less than the nanoscale, I mean, in the atomic scale. And either way, I mean, you can see it a lot. It's always like there is like a stone or an eye in the middle, and like some kind of like a mud around it, and then you see like, I mean, and after that they start to like you see, to see the fangs, or like, I mean, or like, I mean, the, you know, the spikes, many spikes around, like the supposedly, perhaps, I mean, it's electrons around the nucleus, or perhaps it's the antennas of the virus, like, I mean, the balls of the coronavirus or something like that. I'm not sure. But either way, it's very common. So this is kind of a wasteland. We don't see much of anything here. That's a nice Neo. More of them here. more of the, I would call it writing, perhaps writing, I don't know. We also see from time to time the very common string like microbes. Again, not real microbes, but depiction of microbes. It's very common. You can see it a lot. Okay, so I'll do another video and I'll speak both about scientific issues and non-scientific issues.